All right, let's jump right in. If you've been staring at chemical structures until your eyes cross, wondering, how on earth does this actually fit into farming and livestock? Well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're locking down fatty acids and biomolecules for your Grade 11 Agricultural Sciences exam. Here is the game plan for today. 1. Meet your biomolecules. 2. Decoding fatty acids. 3. Fats versus oil showdown. 4. Proteins and carbohydrates. And 5. Final exam practice questions.
Section 1. Meet your biomolecules, the foundation of life. So look at this feed pyramid for animal rations. It literally shows us exactly where we find these organic compounds out in the real world. Down at the base, you've got your carbohydrates, right? Things like grains, giving that primary immediate energy. Move up and you hit proteins like fish meal. And right up at the very top, you've got your lipids, usually in the form of oils. You know, every single time an ag scientist formulates a feed ration, they're essentially just balancing these exact biomolecules to max out animal health and growth. It's like a giant puzzle. Okay, moving to Section 2, decoding fatty acids, structure and bonds.
By definition, a fatty acid is an organic acid characterized by a carboxyl group attached to a long hydrocarbon chain that acts kind of like a tail. Now, here is the absolute crucial part for your exam. You need to remember these two marker keywords, carboxyl group and hydrocarbon chain. If you drop those exact terms on your paper, the examiner instantly knows you get the core chemistry.
Now, check out the physical differences in how these chains are actually built. Take a look at the top structure there, labeled A. Do you see that double bond sitting right between the carbon atoms? That double bond is a dead giveaway that the chain is not completely saturated with hydrogen atoms, so it's an unsaturated fatty acid. But look right below it, it's structure B. Notice how it only has single bonds between the carbons? That means it's totally packed, literally saturated with as many hydrogen atoms as it can possibly hold, so saturated fatty acid. Spotting that double bond is for sure a make-or-break skill for this exam. Section 3. Fats versus oils showdown, high-yield exam facts.
Okay, I highly recommend you take a screenshot of this side-by-side comparison right now. Seriously, do it. It is packed with the exact marker keywords that are going to earn you full points on the exam rubric. Look at the stark contrasts here. Fats, animal origin, solid at room temp, higher melting points, and they increase cholesterol levels. Oils are the total opposite. Plant origin, liquid at room temp, lower melting points, and they actually decrease cholesterol. Lock these pairs in your mind.
But hey, beyond just knowing what they're made of, you actually have to know their job in biology. You got to keep these 4 functions locked down. Lipids are a massively concentrated reserve source of energy. Think about livestock bracing for a harsh winter, right? That stored fat acts as vital insulation against the cold, and it's literally a shock absorber protecting their internal organs. And on a microscopic level, they are an absolutely crucial part of the membrane of all living cells. All right, Section 4, proteins and carbohydrates, builders and energizers. So, while lipids are built from fatty acids and glycerol, proteins have their own VIP building blocks, amino acids. Amino acids are the monomers, the fundamental individual units that actually link together to build massive complex proteins. And if you look closely, just like the fatty acid we saw earlier, it's got a carboxyl group, but here it brings an amino group into the mix. Now, there are 20 natural amino acids that make up a protein, and when they link up to form a chain, they use a very specific connection called a peptide bond. Guys, peptide bond is absolutely a critical vocab word for your exam. Whenever your brain sees the word protein or amino acid, it needs to instantly scream peptide bond. Okay, Section 5, final exam practice questions. Test your knowledge. I'm going to read 5 actual past paper questions. I want you to pause, write down your answer, and then unpause to see how you did. Let's do this. Practice question 1. Indicate the 2 basic components of lipids. Go ahead and pause right now to lock in your answer. All right, the answer is fatty acids and glycerol. If you got that, fantastic. And hey, if you also remembered that they're joined together by an ester bond, you are absolutely crushing this subtopic. Next up, practice question 2. Give 2 differences between fats and oils. Try to think back to that showdown table we just looked at. Hit pause and jot down your 2 points. Okay, let's see the rubric.
You could have picked any two of these pairs, as long as you explicitly contrasted them using the exact rubric keywords, like solid versus liquid, or animal versus plant origin. You've safely bagged those marks.
Question 3 is a visual one. Look really closely at this fatty acid hydrocarbon chain. Is it a saturated or unsaturated fatty acid? Pay really close attention to the specific bonds between those carbons. Pause and answer.
And the answer is unsaturated. Why? Well, because the presence of even one single double bond between those carbon atoms instantly means the chain cannot be fully saturated with hydrogen. Spotting those little equal signs, the double bonds, is the whole trick to this question. Moving on to practice question 4. Name the bond that links the monomers of proteins. Come on, we literally just covered this high-yield term. What's the bond called? Pause and lock it in.
It's a peptide bond. Remember the golden rule here so you don't drop silly marks. Proteins use peptide bonds to link amino acids, but lipids use ester bonds to link fatty acids to glycerol. Do not get those twisted in the heat of the exam room.
All right, our final challenge, question 5. This one's a tricky multiple-choice question that tests your broader knowledge. Proteins form part of 1. Enzymes, 2. Hormones, 3. Cellulose component, 4. All cells in the body. Choose the correct combination from A, B, C, or D. Pause, use that process of elimination, and take your pick.
The correct answer is C. If you used process of elimination, you'd quickly realize that cellulose is actually a structural carbohydrate found in plant cell walls, not a protein. So because item 3 is wrong, combination C is literally the only logically correct answer left standing.
Awesome job. You survived the practice round. Keep reviewing these concepts, and as you do, ask yourself, how will mastering this invisible microscopic chemistry ultimately make you a way more successful agricultural scientist out in the real world? Because whether you're formulating feed, checking crop nutrition, or testing soil, the whole shebang comes right back to these biomolecules. Good luck studying, stay focused, and go absolutely crush that exam.